If you guys want some gamer subs, make sure to use code GM for 10% off. And while you're at it, come check me out over at twitch.tv/gminers. Thanks. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Gminers here. We are almost 2 weeks into the new season, and most people are starting to hit pinnacle cap or get right around that area. So I wanted to go over how you can absolutely melt through champions this season with nothing more than a primary weapon. We're going to be relying on the damage from ignitions to kill champs rather than the damage from any heavies, specials, or supers. This method is going to require the seasonal mod Revitalizing Blast, which is in the 4th column. This class item mod causes champions to ignite each time you stun them. It also says it clears your shield stun, which I have no idea what that is, but the ignition is what we are going to be using anyways, and if you've seen ignitions, you know that these deal huge amounts of damage. Now, there are going to be 2 ways that we can actually use this mod to bake champions. Both ways are going to work on any class, but the first way requires Solar 3.0 to be used, and the second way technically works on any subclass as long as you do have one player on stasis. The first way you can use this is by throwing on the fragments Ember of Char and Ember of Ashes. With these fragments, each time we stun a champion, a solar ignition is going to go off, which again, that's just from Revitalizing Blast, but then Ember of Char is going to spread scorch stacks to nearby targets. If enemies are still alive from the ignition, which our champions always will be, then these stacks are going to be reapplied to the champion. And then Ember of Ashes is just going to increase these scorch stacks, which improve our chances of having chain ignitions. That is, at least from what I understand, how this is working and why it allows multiple chain ignitions to detonate. I will have a link to a Reddit post where I first saw this, which does have a crazy clip of like 5 ignitions chaining and just completely melting a champ. This definitely is not working as intended for this first method, which is why chaining ignitions is going to be incredibly inconsistent. People have also speculated that exotics like Dawn Chorus and mods like Solar Fulmination help with this, but I've seen mixed information as to whether or not they actually do, and I believe the damage from Solar Fulmination is either bugged or extremely minuscule, so running this mod may or may not be worth the mod slots. With this setup, you can see that on champion stuns, I am consistently able to get off 2 ignitions almost every time, depending on the champion, but this obviously isn't going to be enough to kill them. It is still a great way to chunk their health down to make killing them easier, but if we end up using stasis, things get interesting. If you've ever run a GM or master activity where champs don't just get pushed over, then you've probably run with someone on stasis. Now, stasis is great for crowd control and freezing champions, but it isn't great for killing them. After a champion has been stunned, freezing them resets them from the stunned state. But it also resets their capability to be stunned, which means you can stun champions back to back to back to back to, okay, you get the point. You can stun them a lot in a few seconds. But if we throw on Revitalizing Blast, each time we stun a champion, they're going to take huge amounts of damage because each time they will ignite. By far, the best combo with this is going to be using Divinity against Overload champs. Not only do we get these ignitions to repeatedly proc, but we also apply a 30% debuff to the enemy the entire time, and even if you don't want to run div, you can always just rely on Withering Heat to weaken the enemies too. The main champions that this is going to work on is Overloads, as I mentioned, and then Unstops. The issue with anti-barriers is that you need their shield up in order to stun them. Stasis happens to proc right before their shield goes up, so they aren't able to be repeatedly stunned, but the double ignitions will still proc on them. I haven't tried this out in GMs yet because they aren't out, so I'm not sure if the damage that the ignition does is going to scale down by a huge amount when under power, or if the ignitions just deal a set amount in the sandbox. Either way, I think this is going to be the first time in a while that we can easily kill champs with primaries, which really expands our loadouts for endgame content. If you guys want some builds that revolve around this mod for GMs and for master content, make sure to drop a like and just comment the class you want this on below. Also, let me know if you managed to hit any insane ignition chains on champs, and feel free to send me some clips on Twitter if you do. That's all for this video, guys. As always, have a good one. Peace.